Board of Directors. 77,000 out of an eligible 2.3 million. So there's so many people who've just left their ballot in their magazine or in their trash can.
Jacks boy, Jacks boy, Jacks boy, I'm talking about them Jacks boy, Jacks boy, Jacks boy.
Hey everybody, this is your guy Jack of all trades, and today I have Mr. Marcus from Modern Spartan System, as well as Miss Amanda from she's from I Own the Target Radio. I'd like to welcome y'all to the show.
Well, thanks for having us.
Oh man.
Yep. Thanks, Xavier. It's yeah, you and I become friends, and we become friends around based on my gun stuff, and
Right.
the stuff goes to the connection to Amanda. So I have learned I'm a patriot. We're all patriots. That's why you serve and fight. Second Amendment's the most important thing to protect all the other amendments. Great founding fathers, brilliant dudes. Now it's coming into play because we're in dangerous times. And the NRA is supposed to protect that Second Amendment. NRA was under attack from the inside, and good people are taking it over, taking over control. They need to get more control so they can get back on mission to protect our Second Amendment. I got introduced to Amanda, my friend and business partner, Charlie Hiltonen. And Amanda is, like you said, she's an engineer, a radio host, and she's a big person, an NRA member, board member, and she's very educated on what has happened and what is happening with the NRA, and it's why it's so important that people hear this, spread the word, get involved, and vote. This is like an immediate thing and a long-term thing. So Amanda is actually so cool that her last name is Suffecool. I'm gonna let Amanda tell what's going on.
Well, I thank you. Xavier, I want to thank you for sharing your audience with us because this is a call to action that is absolutely critical. And that call to action is that we're looking for NRA board members we're looking to upgrade and increase our NRA board members. And to do that, we need NRA voting members. So last year, we had 77,000 people vote for the NRA Board of Directors. 77,000 out of an eligible 2.3 million. So there's so many people who've just left their ballot in their magazine or in their trash can, and they should have a voice, and they're not utilizing that voice. So what we're asking is that if you are an eligible voter, if they mailed you a magazine with your ballot in it, we're asking you, dig it out and vote. We've got a slate of 28 candidates that we've looked at because there's so many people who says, I don't know who the good people are versus the bad people. I don't know who's going to run us into the ditch versus, help us pull the NRA out of the doldrums. And so we've gotten a slate of 28 candidates that is on the website, Elect a New NRA. And so when you go to find your magazine and you pull out the ballot, we bought the centerfold ad right there. So we made it really easy. You pull out the ballot, you look at the ad. You can fill it all in using those, or you can go to the website. You can read everybody's bio. You can pick them by bio. You can pick the skill set that you think that the NRA needs. But we're asking, please help us.
Well, you guys made it easy for everybody. You got all the information in one place, and these are vetted people that are all going to contribute to the mission of the NRA. Very intelligent, well-spoken, patriotic people. So this is that group. You made it easy for everybody. The rest of the few million people that haven't voted, this is ready and ripe open for you to take control of the NRA, take control of our country back.
Right. I mean, because we need the NRA. There are a lot of good gun organizations, but the NRA is the largest. It is the elephant in the room. It takes incoming fire to protect the other groups. So that Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America, those groups can be in the trenches doing things, and the NRA is kind of like the overarching umbrella that provides cover for them.
Okay. I know we kind of jumped right into it. Mr. Amanda.
Yeah.
Could you give them um, a little bit of your background as far as being on the NRA Board of Direction and of Directors? I'm sorry, and also Ohio State Director for what Women for Gun Rights.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a retired engineer, as Marcus said,
Mhm.
but guns, that is kind of the project of my heart. Defending the Constitution and defending the Second Amendment of the Constitution is kind of where, when somebody said, "What kind of difference do you want to make in your life? What kind of mark do you want to leave?" And as I got closer to retirement, I got involved with the group Women for Gun Rights, which is 50 women, one from every state, that goes to Washington, D.C., and shows our elected officials that we care about the Second Amendment, that well-spoken professional women care about the Second Amendment. I tell them in D.C. that the Second Amendment now wears lipstick, right? Pay attention because we care. And so I also, I also then submitted my name to be considered for board of directors, and I considered it and was rejected. And did it again and was rejected. And I did it again and it was rejected. And I did it a fourth time, and finally the nominating committee nominated me.
Right.
And then once I was on the ballot, because of my radio show, because of my advocacy, people kind of know a little bit about me, or once they see me or see me in action, figure out that I have a clue. And so
Mhm.
I did well in the election, but it was getting to that. It was convincing the insiders at the NRA that I was a worthy candidate to be on their board. And that's one of the reasons why I'm fighting so hard right now for
Right.
all these other people to get on the board, because we need businessmen. We need people who own businesses, who have been in the military, who have
Mhm.
led people, who have problem solved, who are accountants and all of those kind of things to help run the NRA like a business. And that's really what we're trying to do right now.
Okay. Also, I was digging a little bit in your background. I see you was trying to prove your brother wrong about.
I'm always trying to prove my brother wrong. Don't you have a sibling that has that kind of relationship? I mean,
Yeah. So.
we, our term of endearment is generally not socially acceptable. We'll just say to each other, right? But, but yeah, my brother is really smart, and he told me, he's like, well, I think this is a good business idea, and I was like, I think it stinks, and he's like, no, and I said yes, and so I wrote a business plan to prove him wrong, and darn it, he wasn't,
Yeah.
right?
And y'all end up going into business together as well. He's your co-host, right?
He's my co-host. We've owned a gun shop together. We rehab houses together. We are as siblings, we are really tight, you know?
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of stuff together. There's times when people don't realize that we're siblings because they can't imagine being that close to a sibling, but we just are. That's kind of how we are of Scottish ancestry. So when they say clannish, it really
Mhm.
kind of is clannish.
Yeah, because
Good way.
in a good way, yeah.
Yeah.
So from 2004 to 2016, you ran a local gun store.
We ran a gun
Yeah,
shop
a
at a
gun
local
shop.
range, so it was fabulous because people would come in and they're like, I need this or I need that, and there's all the residual noise and booms, and you got to sell targets and ammo, and it was great. It was a great business to be in and a great location.
So not just your radio show, you also host fashion shows. Now tell me a little bit about the concealed carry fashion show.
Well,
That's Can I get in it? Can anybody get in it?
Well,
Or just for
the
women?
answer is no, it's not. The first one I did was all for women. And the guys were
Okay.
like, hey, what about us? Right? So we do it, and it's about 25% men, 75% women, because the problem of concealing and figuring out where to hide your gun is a universal problem. So we
Mhm.
have done concealed carry fashion shows. Well, I've done it in Arizona. I've done it in Phoenix. I've done it in Milwaukee. I've done it in Chicago. I've done it in Atlanta. I've done it in Houston. I've done it in Cleveland. Kind of all Pennsylvania, a couple places, so I've kind of done it all over. But the universal question to everybody is when a brand new gun owner gets a gun and puts it on for the first time, they swear to God that there's a neon sign pointing that this person has a gun. Beep, 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 look here, right? And
Right.
so our goal is to show you what you can't see and to show you that most people are not aware and people don't notice. You think that you're hypersensitive to it. They don't notice. They more
Right.
notice when you touch it or put your elbow on it or adjust it or move it or shift it. But if you just put it on, it's comfortable and you leave it alone, they don't even notice.
That's all right there. And you also wrote a book as well.
Well, it's because I am an engineer. So what I did is I wanted to write a book to tell people how to produce a fashion show and tell them how
Mhm.
not to. So it's really a how-to book on that. And then I'm also involved in writing right now, writing a collector's book for Ruger 357s. And so I've got that most of the way. I've got a big sign on my refrigerator that says write that book, and I keep ignoring it at the
He's
same
like the
time I keep
busiest
eating all the
retired
brownies.
person I know.
I know, right? She, she's that she are. I mean, that she is.
Well,
Hmm.
I'm all in for the things that I believe in, and and so that's one of the reasons why I've let Marcus trout me around here like a little show pony to different places to talk because he knows different people than I know, and
Right.
and trying to reach different audiences because the NRA, when you really look at it, the NRA is the face of every person in America. And
Hmm.
so if I only talk to people that are in rural Ohio, I'm not going to
Right.
get very far. And so I have to
Exactly.
expand my reach and utilizing shows like this, utilizing friends like Marcus to be able to get that message out is to all of our benefit.
Right. Now, um, one more other thing about your background, well, about your family
Yeah.
history, and we'll move on to the
You have done your
NRA board.
homework though, Xavier. I have to say, you have done your homework.
Well, it was something that stuck out to me. The fact that you grew up in like a 2A family.
I did.
Your your mother showed you hunting safety, correct?
Yeah, my mom taught hunter safety, and so yeah, it's been a it's my grandfather who was born in Oklahoma before it was a state. So he was born in Indian Territory before the state of Oklahoma was the state of Oklahoma, and then
Mhm.
moved to Ohio. He taught us about reloading. And so when we were
Right.
kids, he is the original carnival barker, I would swear to God, because what he said was he made it sound so fun to reload shotgun shells that as
Hmm.
soon as we would get to their house, the first thing we would do is fight over who got to sit on the bench and reload shotgun shells. And so so
Tom
he had
Sawyer.
like all these little workers just because he convinced us, like Tom Sawyer, that painting the fence was fun.
Funny. And you still a Ruger person? I know that kind of like
I have a few.
I have a few. Now, the last question I'm gonna ask you about your family history is: do you still own your dad Ruger collection, revolver?
I own one third of it.
One.
So yes, I do. And that's the book that I'm writing is a book about my father's Ruger collection.
Nice.
And so before we split it up, before we divvied it to the siblings, we took pictures of every one of them. So it's every manufacturing. So the engineer in me just bubbles with this, but it's every
Hmm.
manufacturing variation of Ruger's first centerfire gun from 1955 to 1973. They called them the old three screw models or the flat top or the
Right.
protected sight model or the bridge top in 357. And so he had every manufacturing variation. And I actually, in my safe, have serial number 69. So
Oh,
a
wow.
two-digit built in 1955 gun that looks just absolutely pristine.
Oh, wow, that's nice. That's something to be grateful to have.
Yeah, it is.
Um, Now back to the NRA stuff.
Yeah.
So, what what do you expect to change between now and moving forward? What you hope to change moving forward for the NRA?
Well, New York went after the NRA. And so it sued the NRA with the intention to defund the NRA and take all the NRA's assets and give it to a New York-based like-minded gun safety organization.
Like mine
Mhm.
in my butt.
Right, exactly. So, yeah. So, like-minded. So they said, who else says that they're a gun safety organization?
Mhm.
Bloomberg, Moms Demand Action, Everytown for Gun Safety. They have gun safety in their name.
Right.
So the intent was to defund the NRA, to take all their money and give it to those other organizations and cause the NRA not to exist. So we fought We fought in the courts. They call it lawfare now, but we started this fight before they had a name for that. And so we were fighting for 7 years in the courts with this, and New York was not successful. But what it did was it spent down a lot of our money. It took a lot of our energy. It took a lot of our effort. And so we've succeeded in the courts, and
Mm-hmm.
now we're back at a spot where we have to say, ta-da, the NRA is here. Ta-da, we come back, pay attention to us again, because we just stopped. Are you familiar with the Supreme Court case Bruin versus the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association?
No, I'm
So
not.
in 2023, the Supreme Court made a court decision that is as important or more important than the Heller decision of 2008. And so we've all heard of Dick Heller and where Dick Heller went against DC and fought for our gun rights. I call him the grandfather of the Second Amendment, really, because it was the first real Supreme Court case that covered Second Amendment. The Bruin case that came out in 2022 pretty much says that any gun law that is passed that was not in place in history, text, or tradition in 1791, the year that the Second Amendment was written, is unconstitutional. Okay, so that means that there's a lot of laws that we can peel back,
Mm-hmm.
lawsuit after lawsuit. The NRA paid for and supported the Bruin decision clear through the courts to get to the Supreme Court, millions of dollars. And then they didn't market it, they didn't advertise it, they didn't tell anybody. It's the best kept secret of the best court case. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing we want to change is we want to say we've still been in the trenches, we've still been in the fight. We just stopped talking to our members and we have to start again.
Right. And another thing I was gonna ask because like I was telling Marcus before, a lot of us don't know a lot about the NRA, and
Right.
a lot of us biased by it, and it goes back to like more like a how can you say it? More like a black and white thing, as
Well,
you could say.
there are,
And,
yeah, there are
yeah.
people who say the NRA was the
Right.
original civil rights organization, and it was actually created with the intent to help the military um,
Hmm.
produce better shooters, right? And
Right.
has never been a black and white thing. It's never been a color thing. It's never been about guns for me and not for thee. It is about
Right.
everybody has the right. And, human self-defense is a human right. So that
Hmm.
is where the NRA has been. Yet there are some organizations, both anti-gun and pro-gun, who have marketed on the fact that, well, the NRA was primarily run by old white guys. And so we need to change that because guess what? Maybe
Right.
I'm old, but I'm not a guy, right? So we're shifting the
True.
dynamic a
Pretty
little bit
sure
on the
you're a
board.
chick.
So we're also looking that trying to make it easier to get on the board for people who are bringing skill sets to it so that the board reflects and then the NRA reflects and then the ads reflect all of America and who they are and what they look like. And so there has been a lot of work that has gone into that because there is nothing that says it is the equalizer than a firearm. And the fact that we defend everybody's right to have one and to have self-defense and to be able to protect themselves and their families.
Okay. And you say there's a total of 28 candidates is in the running right now.
Well, there's
Um,
28 on our slate that you can vote for 28. There's actually 49 that are on the ballot, and you have to pick 28 of them. So there's a
mm,
website called Elect a New NRA, and you can go to electanewnra.com and
mm,
find the slate of candidates that this group NRA 2.0, this group of change agents has been promoting as the candidates to look at, read their bios, and select from.
You guys made it really easy for everybody. Go right to the site, you know what to do, how to do it.
Hmm.
And yeah, what's about that thing with the fill-in for the two people write-ins?
Yeah, so it is, we've got 28 candidates, but two of our candidates were affected by the storms, the hurricanes that went through
Right.
Florida, went through the Carolinas, right? And the NRA old guard, the NRA officers, the NRA, in its infinite wisdom, said the bylaws have they have nothing to compromise or allow the fact that all of the information that those two people needed to be on the ballot was in the mail. The U.S. postal system did not deliver it. And
Hmm.
so these people are running on a write-in candidate slate because they just couldn't get on the ballot. And so there's 26 to fill out the little bubbles, and then two say write-in candidate. And you need to go to the website, elect a new NRA, and find there's their name and the city they live in, and on the back of your ballot, there's a spot for write-in candidates. Just make sure that when you fill it all out, 28 is the absolute max. Do not go more than that, or nothing on your ballot counts.
Okay. Now, could you tell the viewers when it is election?
The election started the third week of January, and the deadline that the ballot has to be in the hands of the counting agent is April 6th. So we've got just a couple weeks. And that's why we're saying, please just go find your ballot. It's in your trash can. It's
It's
beside your
somewhere.
it's beside your chair. It's in the stack on the kitchen table. Right? Go dig out your magazine and vote.
Yeah. So, will you be attending the NRA event in
At the
Georgia?
in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, indeed, I will. There, this year we're doing a new media row, and so
Okay.
there's going to be a group of people that some of them, the bloggers and the podcasters, people that you may know their voices and you've never seen their faces,
Hmm.
are
Like
going to
Mr.
be there.
Marcus.
Right? You know, you've never seen his face. Exactly.
I
But
don't
yeah,
have,
so we will be there.
I'm just a little,
Well, yeah. I'm sorry.
Mm.
Oh, you were saying something, Marcus?
no, I was just being a smart aleck. I said I don't have a face, just a logo.
He has a
That's
face for radio, I think is the term that they use, right?
right.
No, this is good, Dave. You really appreciate you and
We
your
do.
audience need to understand. Hey, we're citizens. We're taking back our country, taking back our world. The NRA is a critical organization. They were going down a bad path. Good people stepped in and are stepping in now, and they need our help. And it's an immediate thing because they got to get those ballots in and make sure they mail them so they get it there in time. And they need to spread the word to all their friends that could possibly vote because it was such a low turnout on the voting, but people didn't know what to do. But now it's just simple. You go to that website, they made it as simple as possible for you. These are vetted, good, hardworking, balanced, business minded people that are in it for the right reasons. So, and then after that, the whole PR and transparency, the NRA is going to be a lot more open so people can see what is going on, what they're doing, getting back on mission. And that helps everybody.
Okay. Well, I appreciate y'all coming by. Mr. Melly, is there anything else you would love to say to the viewers?
I'm just going to say go to the website, elect a new NRA. If you're not an NRA voting member, if you're not an NRA member, then join up, get back involved. You know, the NRA is here. The NRA is alive. It's thriving. It's turned the corner. And we are now talking to our members. We're now interacting with our members and we're answering questions, because as you know, we didn't put any limitations on the questions that you want to ask,
Right.
and so we will gladly come back and, you just keep us on speed dial anytime you want to know what's going on. What are we doing? One of us will come.
Okay. Now, last question. Now, for the event that's in April, right? Can
Right.
they sign up to be an NRA at the event?
They can go to the event and they can sign up to join the NRA right there, and that'll get them in. If they are a member already, they just show their membership card or have them look them up and they're in. It is free admission to NRA members. And if you've not been to an NRA annual meeting, it is amazing. I have probably been to them. I started going because of my NRA DNA, Second Amendment DNA, I've been going since the 80s. I really have. I don't know that I've missed many. You probably weren't born.
I was born in '82.
Okay. I was probably at the NRA annual meeting then.
Well, I appreciate y'all coming on, taking our time of y'all busy schedule, being that you constantly on the go and constantly writing books and doing fashion show, as well as Mr. Marcus running a business. If you don't know, Mr. Marcus run Martin Spartan system. This is his cleaning kit. So y'all would definitely have to pick that up. And for Miss Amanda, please go check out her radio show as Eye on the Target, right? I'll,
EyeOnTheTargetRadio.com. Yes.
and I'll put all the information in the description below. I appreciate y'all coming out and have a lovely day.